Hey guys, Tara here from Recovering Book Hoarder. Happy Valentine's Day! And on our Valentine's Day, I thought that it would be fun to talk about my bookish boyfriends. So today I'm going to focus on my I'm not going to say top 10. These are 10 of who I would consider to be my book boyfriends. So the first one is Travis Maddox from the books Beautiful Disaster and Walking Disaster. Then he also shows up again in the Maddox Brothers series that takes place after that. So this is a new adult duology, and it is the story of Travis Maddox and Abby Abernathy. Travis is like a UFC fighter at his college, and that's how he makes his money. He comes across as like the player of the college campus. He's very well known for being a player. All the girls love him, and he just seems like a superficial jerk on the outside. Of course, we come to find out that he is so much more and has so much depth and is just like the sexiest character. He's amazing, and he is the guy that every girl wants, and him and Abby are perfect for each other. And I highly recommend the book. I just reread it last year for the first time, and probably, I don't know, I feel like it had probably been a decade since I had read it, and I still love it just as much as I did when I read it initially, and I still love Travis Maddox. All right, Gus McElligott from the book Dark Highlander. We meet him for the first time in Kiss of the Highlander by Moning. Then he gets his own book in Dark Highlander. And this is book, I want to say it's book 5 in Moning's Highlander series. There's a lot in the series. And Gus is by far my favorite. And looking at the series as a whole, because you have, although I actually did start with book 5, not realizing that it was a series whenever I first picked it up. So I read it and loved it, thinking it was a standalone. And as I'm reading, I'm going, this really seems like there must have been something else going on. Figured out it was from the series. I personally would read it, the whole series, not just the book. So the Highlander series is a time travel. It's a fantasy. There's fairies and druids, the Scottish Highlands, castles. It's just like everything that you could want. Men in kilts, magic. I love it so much. And so you've got the Highlander series, and then from there she moved into the Fever series, which is kind of a spin-off from the Highlander series. You've got characters that carry over. You do see more McElligotts. And then the Danny O'Malley series. All of them connect. I love Moning. The last one is coming out in the Fever series, February 23rd. I've had it pre-ordered for quite some time. I will be reading it in March. And that's number 2, Gus. Number 3, Sadist from the Black Dagger Brotherhood series by J.R. Ward. We meet Sadist for the first time in the first book of the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. He does eventually get his own book, and I can't say much about Sadist because I don't want to ruin things. But when you first meet Sadist, he's this big, scary, damaged character that has a horrible reputation. Do you see a pattern here? By any chance? Terrible reputation. And I knew, though, from book 1 that Sadist was going to be my favorite character, and he absolutely was. His story is just amazing. I'm not even sure how many books there are at this point in the Black Dagger universe. Probably getting into the 20s now. There's a lot. And so if you're somebody that really enjoys series where you can follow the same characters and you just can feel like you live in the world, this is a series for you. It is urban fantasy. Urban fantasy, some romance. It is vampires, but unlike any vampires you have ever experienced before. They do not feed on humans. They could care less about humans. In order to survive, they have to feed off of a vampire from the opposite sex. They're born that way. It's a mutation, DNA mutation. And yeah. I found Black Dagger Brotherhood because of the Cara Marie Moning fan community. Everybody kept raving about it. I was absolutely uninterested in it. But there was no more Cara Marie books coming out right then. I kind of like cycled through all of the authors I really like, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and pick it up. I've never regretted it, and I anxiously await the release of new books every year. I love it so much. All right. Book boyfriend number 4. Michael Hosea from the book Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. And this is actually being adapted into a movie supposed to come out this year. Who knows with everything in the world if it's still on schedule. I'm not really sure. But it is a retelling of the book of Hosea. I can't talk. The book of Hosea from the Bible. So it is a story of redemption for our main character, Angel, who is essentially sold into the sex trade back in like the Old West. Sold whenever she was a young child and grew up in a brothel in the sex trade, and she interacts with Michael Hosea one day. He sees her, and essentially God tells him that he needs to rescue her, he needs to marry her, and oh, it's the most beautiful story, and you cannot help but absolutely fall in love with Michael Hosea. It is so good. It was the first Francine Rivers book I had ever read, and it made me want to read everything else that she has ever written. They just came out with an anniversary edition last year too, which is like a naked hardback, and I got that. It's beautiful. There's all kinds of other things coming out because of the movie. There's like a Bible study coming that's out that I have also that we're going to be doing, and oh, Michael Hosea, I love him. All right, boyfriend number 5 is Gilbert Blythe from Anne of Green Gables, and he is Anne of Green Gables is by Ella Montgomery, if anybody doesn't know that. You know, Anne is the story of an orphan girl who goes to live with a brother and sister, Marilla and Matthew. They're expecting a boy. Turns out they got a girl, and Anne's just one of those literary characters that you just want to be best friends with. And she ends up meeting Gilbert Blythe at school, and the first day of school he calls her Carrots because she has this flaming orange hair, and she breaks a slate over his head. And he's just one of those characters that, like, he's so he's like naughty. You know, he's like, he would have been like the class clown, but you could just tell how much he loved Anne underneath everything he did. And you know, he rescues her at one point, and he seems to have like the best personality, and you just can't help but have this crush on him. So Gilbert Blythe is one of my book boyfriends. Moving on to boyfriend number 6 is Calvin from the book Roomies by Christina Lauren. And Calvin is from Australia and has a wonderful Australian accent. When we meet him, he is a busker in the New York City subway. Come to find out that he is currently in America illegally. His visa had run out. And there's this girl, Holland, who has a crush on him and has been going to kind of like obsessively stalk him, watching him play as a busker in the subway. He's extremely talented, I want to say he went to Juilliard, I think, in the book. It's been a while since I read it. Holland's uncle is like the writer of a Broadway play, a big Broadway play. I don't know if he's like the writer or director, something like that. They lose one of their main musicians and have to find somebody really quick. And Holland ends up recommending this guy who she's really never actually met. And she takes her uncle to watch him. They can't believe how good he is. He gets an audition. Okay. For him to stay to get his work visa, Holland says, hey, we should get married. Like, stage a wedding. Have a wedding, but get married for a year, then we can go our separate ways. He has no idea that she has had a crush on him and has been watching him for like the past year. So it's kind of an uneven marriage. He's just clueless. Of course, you know, things happen. And he's such an awesome character. I love him. I love his Australian accent. I love his personality. He's hot. He's just so good. And yes, Roomies, Christina Lauren. My next one is Graham from All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. And this is a story of a marriage that is breaking down and is about to end. And is there any way to make this marriage work again? And it's just such an amazing book. And Graham is like the perfect guy. He's so understanding. It's just, oh, so good. He gives you the chills. And Graham is number 7. All right. Bookish Boyfriend number 8 is Legend from the Caraval series. And based off of book number 1, that is not what you would, he's not who you would think would be like your classic bookish boyfriend. But books 2 and book 3, which like I said, like, Caraval was not my, I almost didn't continue reading the series. Gotta be honest. Like, it was a 3-star read. It was fine. I didn't get the hype. It was like, it was okay. I was really looking for Night Circus vibes whenever I read it. And I, in book number 1, did not get Night Circus vibes. But then Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand, I know it was like one, I know she really loved it. And I kept thinking, but I have like the same taste as Sarah, so why don't I like this? But okay, I'm going to go ahead and read the second one. Oh my goodness. Number 2, which is Legendary, well, it's knocked my socks off. I mean, I had a book hangover after I finished that. So, and then number 3, equally as good. Both of those, loved them. And now, of course, I want to go back and reread Caraval because maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was just because I thought I was going to be reading something that was much more like the Night Circus, and it wasn't. Also, the 2 main characters from the first book, I just didn't love them. But books 2 and 3 are really much more focused on Tella and Legend. Yes. And I love Legend. I love him. He's number 8. All right. Book Boyfriend number 9 is Gideon Cross from the Crossfire series. And he is like the sexiest businessman ever. Of course, he's like a gazillionaire. He's damaged. Of course he's damaged. But he, you know, it's like your classic, this girl comes in and she's, you know, changes him for the better, and he's becomes like this amazing guy. He's got depth, and I love Gideon Cross. There's 5, I want to say there's 5 books in the series. I can't be positive about that. I'm pretty sure there's 5 books in the series. Sylvia, I don't know if I said it or not. Sylvia Day wrote it. And it is a steamy romance. And he is I mean, he's perfect. He's perfect. So he's number 9. All right, one more. That is actually a side character from one of my favorite series. That is the Charley Davidson series by Darynda Jones. And Charley Davidson, who is the star of the Charley Davidson series, is my book BFF. She's my literary BFF. Love her. And there's a side character that we meet named Donovan. And he is the head of a motorcycle gang. And he shows up off and on throughout the series. And he's just like your classic Harley Davidson, leather wearing with chains, like long hair, leather pants, just, yeah. He's just great personality, so sexy, seems like just, again, like the perfect bad boy, but with a heart of gold kind of guy. And yeah, love him, love the series. I just loved whenever we would see him because you just never knew when you were going to see him. Like I said, he was just a side character, so he didn't show up in every book. And I was just so excited when he would show up. So, yeah. Those are my bookish boyfriends. Who are your bookish boyfriends? I would love to know. I hope that you guys have an absolutely wonderful Valentine's Day. And that if you don't have an actual Valentine, that you are able to spend time with a really, really great bookish Valentine. All right, guys. I'll see you later.